The first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. If Japan does not surrender, bombs will have to be dropped on her war industries, and unfortunately, thousands of civilian lives will be lost.
8, 7.
It took the bomb 43 seconds from the time we dropped it at 30,000 feet until the time it exploded at 18,000 feet. The first thing you saw was that large white cloud that was up well above our altitude. If you look down to the city of Hiroshima, it just looked like a pot of boiling oil covering the city.
6, 5.
To say it was frightening is an understatement. I think it shocked us all into silence. When the flash hit you, you could see the x-rays of your hands through your closed eyes.
4, 3.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
2, 1.
I bomb atomically.
Welcome to the Atomically podcast, the only podcast where Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses cannot define how we be dropping these mockeries. I didn't think I'd get that out in one shot. It's been a while. We're back. It's Tones, joined by JMac.
Let's do it for Johnny, man.
And Professor Joey.
Hydrogen peroxide? Did that? I ended up looking like an orange starburst.
So what's up, boys? It's been a minute. As you guys have probably noticed, we've been MIA for a little bit, but we're back. We're back. Anything?
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. I mean, what you guys been up to?
We're back, man. The hiatus, mostly good things, except, you. But,
Fair.
we missed a lot. A lot has happened since we've been gone, man. Fucking wars in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. The real tragedy of our society.
Up with that? I don't even know. It's something about
that bitch
weird
is
stuff
bad
happening.
shit. That's what fucking
She's
you want
shit
to
the bed.
lose hours of your fucking life. Go friggin' look at all the goddamn little video clips of that shit.
Yeah,
that bitch is out of her mind.
I am so removed from anything going on. It's not. I don't even read. Like I used to read the paper a little bit, the Times a little bit, the Post a little bit. Just to keep up with little shit, sports, fucking entertainment, politics, whatever. Just to keep in the loop with what the hell is going on in the world. I haven't done that shit. I clicked on the fucking app the other day and it had to download it from the iCloud, the newspaper. I was like, damn, it's been that long. I've just been so swamped, yo.
You're probably better off not paying attention. There's not a whole lot of good stuff going on.
Nah, there really isn't.
I don't know if you heard, but now we got monkeypox. That's the new thing.
Yeah, what the fuck is that all about?
Bro, it's I looked it up. It's just like a more intense chickenpox. I don't know. They're gonna probably try. They're probably gonna try and make a big thing out of it. Yeah, but I say bring it on. Fuck it.
They must be changing some kind of fucking legislation with agriculture or some other fucking thing that they don't want us to know about. Oh, let's throw some monkeypox out there and fucking trick the people. Yeah, you know how they are, those scumbags.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're stealing our Social Security.
Yeah. Funneling more yoga mats into our food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I
right?
was listening to something the other day, and apparently we ingest a credit card of plastic on a weekly basis.
I mean,
that's insane.
I just do that straight up. So
yeah.
I actually do 2 credit cards a week, but
that's insane.
Yeah, and the was it phthalates? I'm probably saying that wrong, but the stuff in the plastic is it's shrinking people's taints and penis sizes. So people being born now, their taints are smaller, which makes their sperm counts go down. So they think we're basically sterilizing ourselves because we like to microwave food in plastic.
Oh my god!
I
heard if you take our blood and look at it under a microscope and in a lab, we have microplastics in our blood.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Apparently, weekly, if they took all the microplastics out of your blood, they could make a credit card.
That's fucking sick.
Hey, you want to, talk about like recycling, saving the environment, and reuse that plastic, Figure out a way to get it out of there.
Imagine that, just hook you up to like a dialysis machine that's sucking the plastic out of your blood.
You see chunks of plastic just dropping down, filling up a little container.
I've been so disgusted lately. It's not even funny. Like every time I go on Instagram, well, I'm on Instagram for the business. And I got a little business here. We'll talk about that in a bit. But there's this one Instagram we follow, the Food Babe, and it always shows like ingredients in food, and like they just got the official like lab results of what's in Burger King, and it's just like, yeah, I'm just like killing my kids already. They fucking love Burger King. I'm like literally just slowly killing them.
Yeah, it's crazy what they're allowed to get away with, some of these places. I mean, you mentioned yoga mats before, like Subway's. You're talking about like Subway's bread, right? There's like an ingredient in it that they use to make yoga mats. But like, no, it's cool. We could eat it. Actually, I heard in Ireland they made a ruling that they can't actually call it bread. Subway, like they have. I forgot what they call it, but it's some other. It goes by some other name where they can't legally say that it's bread because of all the shit in there.
Bro, there's like 9 countries where Fruit Loops are legal to sell because of what the fuck's inside of that shit.
Yeah,
they're
like
fucking
that Red
delicious.
5 shit.
Fruit Loops are the greatest fucking thing in the world.
More of a cinnamon toast crunch guy, but I could get down with some Fruit Loops,
Yo,
Fruit
wasn't
Loops.
Lucky Charms making people sick recently?
I don't know. I mean, I enjoy some Lucky Charms too, though.
I heard about that one on the radio actually in the car one day.
Why don't they just sell the marshmallows? I always wondered that. Because like the rest
They
of the
do
cereal-
now.
Oh, they do? I'll have to check
Like
that
you
out.
could get the marshmallows, straight up cereal marshmallows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when you said that, I don't know if JMac heard that, but your voice got really slow and low for a second. There was some kind of like latency issue, so you're like marshmallow.
Yeah, it's a connection
Technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just fucking. Those edibles are just kicking in. Yeah.
So yeah, you want to talk about that? These
Oh
edibles?
yeah, fucking. Forget about it, buds. Get you Italian infused. That's how we roll, baby. Jars of sauce, biscotti cookies, chocolate. We got it all, baby. Homegrowns, non-homegrowns, no GMOs, microplastics. We got it all, baby. But yeah, that's why we haven't gotten an episode on forever. I've been fucking swamped, bro. Wearing my apron, throwing down in the kitchen, infusing a lot of Italian food. But for real, if you're interested in our venture, for educational purposes only, of course, follow us at Forget About It Buds. FUH. Forget.
That's thrown me off a couple
Double
times.
D.
The FUH.
ID.
Well,
The best way to do it is like, it's the way it's spelled on the Leaving Brooklyn, Forget About It sign.
Yeah. We'll put a link in the link tree. It's easy.
All right, thanks,
Yeah,
Tones.
see, I got you. It's hard to spell because a couple times like I want to like show it to people, and I'm like FUG. I'm like, what the fuck? Why isn't it showing up? And I remember, but yeah, we'll get that up there. If you want to know if the product actually works, just listen to Joey slowly dissolve into madness throughout this episode.
We've also on the Instagram tagged them a few times and posted about them, so you could track them down through our Instagram page, if anything, too.
Yeah, and I could speak from personal experience that I've had the biscotti. It's a very good product, and it's delicious as well. Not only does it get the job done, he's also got those little ice cream cone bites. Got all of it. He's got everything.
You don't got to keep those refrigerated, bro? Or is it like astronaut food?
No, it's like a fucking bottom of an ice cream cone.
You're a fucking savage. I'm just he's just eating them like they're fucking pretzels or something. Oh my god. This should be interesting.
JMac be dead 3 times over.
I was about to say, man, you might want to like shoot us Sarah's fucking phone number so we can text it and peel you off the fucking floor.
What can I say? I enjoy it.
No, listen, do it up, man. I'm all about it. You know, just as long as you know what you can handle, do what you got to do. You know, I love it.
I don't think there's any bud that could take me down.
Haven't found them yet.
You've been a pro, man. I was actually recently just talking about, you know, a snake I had for like 17 years and how my buddy Joey named it because I ran into him the day I got the snake. I was on 10th Avenue with it, and I ran into Joey, and he was high as a kite. He goes, "What kind of snake is that?" I went, "It's a ball python." He goes, "You should name him Monty Python." Ah!
I remember Monty. I remember him.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That's how he got his name.
I haven't even seen Monty Python either.
Yeah.
Holy Grail is a classic, but some of the other stuff is kind of dated at this point. But
speaking of dated, our movie for tonight. JMac.
Yeah. So
Man.
Yeah, we got The Outsiders tonight.
You let me down, bro. I was expecting this movie to be fucking astronomical, honestly.
You watched the original one, right?
Gold.
Yeah.
You know what? I read the book too.
Okay. I was just mind blown when it came up. We were talking about stuff, and somehow it came up that neither one of you had ever seen the movie or read the book, and it made no sense to me because this is like quintessential, like middle school, like required reading type shit.
I didn't do that shit.
But bro, down here, like the middle schools down here actually have like Outsiders Day, where the kids, you either come to school dressed as a greaser or as like a soch. You know what I'm saying? It's like a big fucking deal.
I'd love to be
I kept
greaser.
reading it as socks. Because I read it first and then I watched it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Socks? Soaks? I didn't know what it was, but then when I watched the movie, I was like, Soch? The hell? They should have spelled like S-O-S-C-H. Soch.
Soch. Yeah, that threw me off too. Because I was watching with the subtitles, so it's just like I would read it as socks, same thing. But yeah, I can imagine going through a whole book thinking it's socks and then watching the movie.
You could have called it Greasy Sock instead of The Outsiders.
Yeah.
But no, but seriously, it was a mixed bag watching it. I didn't dislike it. I didn't think it was amazing. I think a lot of things about it. But generally, I was shocked that. I mean, I'm not shocked that you love this movie, right? You love this movie, right?
I do. This is to me, this is like the same level as like a Stand By Me, the Goonies, that kind of coming of age. Well, maybe not the Goonies, but a coming of age kind of movie that.
And I bet it is for millions of people that have read the book in school, or even if they haven't, maybe their kids did and they encountered it or whatever. So I could definitely see that. But at the same time, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, damn, this shit does not hold up. And the book, as I read the book, right, I'm thinking about this as like not a children's book, but like a YA novel, but at the same time, like, this is pretty, gritty, I think, for, not that it's pretty gritty, I'm sorry, but rather the things that are happening in the book, I know of the time and the place, but when you watch it today, it's just like, or when you read it today, it's just like, damn. Like, was like this back in the day, you know, like the way they treated each other, the way they had brawls, the way they interacted with their parents, the way they treated women, you know, especially like, you know, when you see those scenes of Matt Dillon and Diane Lane in the movie theater.
Problematic.
Right?
Problematic these days, you know?
Very, very.
Getting a little handsy, you know? Can't take no for an answer.
Even there's the one line, you know, I don't remember if it's, I haven't read the book since, you know, fucking middle school or whatever it was. The line about, he's talking about her red hair and he was wondering, and like he's referencing her pubes, and I'm like, this is like, you know, supposed to be something written for like kid, like that's, you know, a little risque to an extent.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Let me get a weed.
Yeah, especially when you realize that S.E. Hinton, she wrote this at 16 years old. She got it published at 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you think this was based off like shit she was seeing probably?
Yeah, this was based off of 2 gangs in her high school. And she wanted to write it through the eyes of, you know, the greasers, because she just didn't think that their story was told. You know what I mean?
They're misunderstood.
Yeah,
See, I don't know any of the backstory about any of the film or the book. I just consume them.
Yeah, well, let me explain how my first introduction to this actually was even before. For some reason, I have a memory of this happening in the 4th grade. I don't know if I was that young. Maybe I was a little bit older. I definitely was still in, you know, my elementary school went from pre-K to 8th grade. So I'm sitting home, and one of my boys, Joey knows him, our boy Billy, the quintessential genius of my group, like just always the brilliant kid who never had to try and just got fucking A's on everything, shows up at my house after school to hang out and goes, "Hey man, you do the book report yet?" And I was like, "What book report?" He goes, "We got to write a book report about The Outsiders. It's due tomorrow." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Bro, they gave us the book like a month ago." So now I go digging through all the crunched up papers in the bottom of my school bag, and I find this soft cover book of The Outsiders that was given to me a month ago that I'd never even opened, that I forgot all about. It's like they gave us the book, you need to do a book report, it's due this day, and they never mentioned it again in class. Like, so now, you know, however long it was later, he comes and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. So now he's trying to like tell me the story, and I'm like, bro, like this isn't gonna work. So
let's rent the movie.
My sister walks in on Billy trying to explain The Outsiders to me. And my sister's like, why don't we just go rent the movie? And I was like, there's a movie? I was like, why are they making us read the book if there's a movie? So fucking, we go around the corner to Packy's, our local fucking movie rental place. Yeah, little corner store, mom and pop movie rental spot. And I
read it to our podcast before.
Yeah. I bring it home. Me and Billy sit there. We watch it. He tells me everything that's not in the movie that was in the book, like shit I should touch on. So I write this book report. I think I'm good. My father comes home while we're watching the movie, and he's like, why did you rent this? Like, it just is not making sense to him that I went and rented this movie out of the blue and decided to watch it on a fucking, like, Wednesday afternoon, you know? So I'm like, I'm good. I'm done. Like, I hid down to my grandmother's apartment and I handwrite this fucking book report based off the shit Billy told me and what I saw in the movie. So I'm like, I'm good. My sister, you know, always having to be the overachiever, decides to go up to our Packard Bell computer and she's going to make a fucking cover for my book report. So she has like the paint open on the computer and she's using like the spray paint and she's writing Outsiders and shit. So my father's like walking by and seeing her doing this and he's like, something's fucking going on with these idiots. So she prints this thing out and brings it down to my grandmother's apartment. I'm finishing up the paper and fucking, I'm like I told you just to leave it. It's fine. I don't need a fucking cover for a book report. So she's like, no, it's going to look better. You get a better grade. So she's stapling it on. Of course, my father, who moved like a fucking ninja, sneaks into the room behind us and sees that I do, and now I have to like explain to him that I didn't read this book for this book report. And my dad was not like the yell, but you guys know my dad. He wasn't like the loud yelling type. Fucking, and he like hit me with the ill guilt of like, how could you be so irresponsible and all that kind of shit. And dude, I like fell apart. I was like, I'm so sorry. I just didn't know. All this bullshit. It was a mess. But that was my first introduction to the movie, man. And I liked the movie then. And then, I saw it a few times. Like, it popped up on TV. I watched it, through my teens and shit. And then I seen the DVD when they re-released the full novel version. And I picked that up. And, I hadn't seen the original in a while. So when Joey said he watched the original version and not the full novel version, and he's like, yeah, it's like 22 extra minutes. I was like, yeah, but I knew of a couple things that weren't in it, but I was like, not that much is missing. Well, I looked up like what's not in the original one, and I was like, there's like no fucking movie left if you take all this other shit out. Like, what the fuck was left to there's no substance to the fucking movie at that point if you take all the shit out that's not in the full novel version.
Like, for example, in the novel, right, before they get to the church, it's like a whole ordeal kind of thing, and then they just get off the train and they're at the church. Like, they gotta ask somebody which way to go and walk up a hill and do some shit, Yeah. And like, even little shit like in the sand, he wrote like, he didn't just write "be right back." He wrote like, went to wherever, be right back, and then his initials JC. It was like a lot of shit. It just felt very rushed, the movie. Like, it felt very when I was watching it, I wish I fucking wrote down this word that I was thinking of. I can't remember it. It was moving like, what the fuck was it? Like, the movie was just moving from scene to scene, and since I had just read it, it was almost like it was like the Cliff Notes version or something.
Yeah.
You know what
I was
mean?
gonna say it felt like an outline of a story.
Yeah,
Like
it was
all
like
the
an
main
outline.
points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I watched the
they
same
took
one you did.
Dialogue
the
from the
full.
book and made it into the movie without like the inner monologues and the insightful, like when he starts describing a scene, like, for example, when he's talking about the fight, like, you see the fight on the screen, but like in the book, he's talking about like Darry wanting to fight two guys at once. You know what I mean? And you don't get that in the movie. So the book, and now that you say she wrote that when, right? It was a chick.
Yeah.
So two things now. She wrote this when she was a teenager, and it feels like the sentences are short, the sentences are sweet, and it's easy to consume. Hence why it's easy for school people to write it. But then I was like, yo. So I read, not while I was reading it, but watching these scenes with what's his name, C. Thomas Howell and Ralph Macchio. I'm like, bro, is she trying to write about gays? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said it like that. I didn't mean it. It sounded
Those
fucking
gays.
negative.
Was there homosexual undertones? Is what you're trying to say?
Did that sound bad? At all, you know that. But it almost felt like was Francis Ford Coppola actually rather trying to portray that in the film from his interpretation of her text, rather. Like, it's like, scenes of them butt to nut and shit, you know what I mean? Very tender moments.
It's funny because I never got that vibe from this, but like in Stand By Me, like Chris and fucking Gordy, like their friendship, there was a lot more like looks of longing at each other and shit in that, more so than I ever felt watching this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like, I think it's more about the camaraderie, and the fact that they don't have family, whether the parents are dead or the parents don't care about them, but at the same time, I like to fucking, play spin the bottle here and then get a little crazy when I watch these things, and I'm like, yo, You know, because think about it, right? Like, if a guy wrote this story, there'd be so much more bravado and machismo flowing through the text. Or I keep, because again, I read it and I watched, so the text really sticks with me, I think, more than the film. So,
well, I think
Yeah.
a lot. I think honestly, if you saw the full novel version of it, you might appreciate it more because it is truer to the novel. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I pulled up the diff because I hadn't seen the original one in so long. You know, the full novel version he released in 2009. So, I bought the DVD and that's the only version I've seen of it since 2009 is fucking.
Well, let me let me ask you what like did they add to it? I mean, I guess at this point we could kind of start talking about the plot, right? We've been at it a while.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
curious.
don't know if you want to do like a synopsis or whatever. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could. I don't know. I feel like people should.
I
know
also
this
want to
movie,
hear
but-
your initial tones.
My initial, yeah. No, I'm kind of along the same lines as Joey. I mean, I could see how if I saw this when I was a kid, how there could be some like nostalgia behind it, and I think the story was good in itself. But like you mentioned, it kind of seemed like at times it was just moving like very fast, almost like the cliff notes or the outline of the story. And I also think that, I mean, we could talk about the cast a little bit. I mean, all the actors in here, it's crazy, but they're all so young, so like there's, they're not, like when you see Tom Cruise, it's not Tom Cruise like today. This is Tom Cruise first starting out. So he's not, that's just one
I mean,
example.
he only has like 2 lines in the whole fucking movie.
Well, I mean, just all of them. They're all so young. Like they're not established yet. Like Emilio Estevez.
Everybody except Ralph Macchio and Patrick Swayze of The Outsiders the rest of them were all teenagers.
Yeah. Okay.
Swayze was like 29 and Macchio was 20 years old.
Yeah. I mean, Macchio in particular, there's a couple scenes, like especially when he was in the hospital, where I was like kind of cringing at how like kind of corny some of the shit was when he would just be like mid-sentence and just like and like pass out. I'm like, what the hell's going on? But no, I mean, like other than there was a couple moments like that.
It makes me think of like, sorry, Tones. It makes me think of like, how Coppola made The Godfather, right? Like with this serious and like slow and atmospheric. He obviously was trying to do the same with this, but I think it just didn't click,
Yeah, well, what happened was he filmed, a movie that was more true to the novel. He gave it to the studio. The studio told him, this shit is too long. And we think Matt Dillon is going to be like the next big thing. So you need to edit this in a way where it kind of highlights him more. So they cut out like a shit ton for the opening scene of the movie not to be there when Ponyboy's walking home from the movie theater by himself and gets jumped by the socias and gets his neck cut. Like, why the fuck would you leave that out of the movie?
I think at one point I noticed a cut. I noticed a cut on his neck at one point. I was like wondering how it got there. He had like a little thing.
Yeah, well, that was a thing that people bitched about back in the day was, he looked like he had a fucking leech on his neck. Yeah, like, where did that come from?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
What is that from? And fucking, you never see it, but, there's a scene where he's walking home. Excuse me. He narrates in the beginning, about, when I stepped out of the movie theater into the sunlight, the only thing on my mind was Paul Newman and the ride home. And on his ride home, the socias are harassing him. He keeps running into them in their car. Finally, they chase him down. They tackle him. The dude pulls the knife on him, and he cuts the side of his neck, and the rest of the greasers come out and fucking help him.
I mean,
and
no, go ahead. No, you can finish.
No, I mean, it builds from the first scene. Then, you kind of get, these are 2 different groups. There's the haves, the have-nots. You could tell just by the way they're fucking dressed, like who's who. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say. So the full novel version is what, 20 minutes longer? You said.
It's about 22 minutes more.
Like to me, that doesn't make sense to cut all that. Like I don't know if it was an hour that they thought it was too much. Okay, I can understand wanting to cut it down. But like 20 minutes, that's not gonna make a difference to people going to the theater. I wouldn't think, at least.
I just think they might have thought the age group that they were targeting didn't have enough of an attention span. You know, I don't know, maybe.
It was the 80s. People still had attention spans.
They had nothing else
If
to
it was
do.
today, I could understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
come on.
That's kind of. I mean, that's just a business corporation getting in the way of art.
Well, what made him make this full novel cut was when his granddaughter went to school and was reading the book in school. The school asked him to bring the movie and like come talk to the kids. And Coppola said like, "Yo, over the years, I've gotten so many letters from fans of the book like, why'd you leave this out? Why'd you leave that out?" That he went back and found all the footage, and it wasn't even like finished footage with like the official like audio or the coloring or anything. And he pieced together a full novel version of the movie just to bring his granddaughter to school. Wow. So then they decided to put that out and release it on a fucking DVD, you know?
That's some granddad.
Yeah, I mean, he only decided to pick this movie up because
my grandfather just took me to the racetrack.
Yeah. Some school, like one middle school somewhere, sent him like hundreds of letters to make this movie. So he decided to go ahead and do it. You know?
That's sick.
Makes sense. That's kind of what what happened with the
Joey was talking about how they just end up at the church. Well, in the other version, you see them on the fucking train. They get off the train, and him and Johnny have like an argument, like who's gonna go ask the farmer like where the fucking J Mountain is, you know, and shit. Like there was a lot of stuff like character building shit, conversations between him and Soda Pop, because basically Rob Lowe, in the original version, they cut like every fucking line he had at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say he just stands there like a dopey bastard for half the movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, goes deeper for me into, these guys not having family, needing each other, you know what I mean?
It's like the relationships between Soda Pop, Pony Boy, and Derry, it was not illustrated as in-depth as it was in the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you could track down the other version of it, like that one, I think would be better off. Like, I think you would get more of a sense of it.
Even like that whole, like, where they showed like the train hitting the car with his parents, like it was just so cheesy.
Yeah, well, and it's like if you're not really paying attention, you're just like, what the fuck was that? Like if you're like kind of following along like closely, you understand like, okay, his parents died, so you're assuming he's having a nightmare. That's probably what it is. But they don't. They just show a car getting hit by a train. Like what is that?
It's the way it happened. It was just didn't look good. It was just I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a little wonky. Even like the parts of that scene at the church looked great, and then parts of it looked like it was like a set built and not real. Where parts of it looked like it was like Mother Nature, and then parts of it looked like it was on a set. I was a little confused, but again, I think it was just Coppola trying to give it that classic Gone with the Wind look. They were reading the book in that scene. You know what I mean? It almost looked like the Wizard of Oz in a way. That like from when it
like
goes from gray to color,
almost, or whatever the fuck they call that shit.
Color.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's taken out, there's an extended part where he reads Gone with the Wind like a little more, And there's a conversation between him and Johnny in the church where Pony Boy's running down like, just yesterday we were walking with the girls. Just yesterday we were at the theater or whatever. And then Johnny kind of snaps like, would you stop fucking talking about yesterday? Like, I killed a kid yesterday. Like, it's almost like they looked at it and said, you know what? This is like a movie for preteens, young adults. Like, they're not going to care about character development or getting into the emotions of these kids. They just want to see the rumble at the end.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. When I watched the movie, it was almost like trying to make these two a couple in a way versus seeing them like, argue is more like, let me just hug you the whole movie,
Yeah. Did the version you guys watched when Johnny's in the hospital, do they did it have the scene where 2-Bit and Ponyboy interact with Johnny's mom?
No.
She shows up and he just says, I don't want to see her, and that's all you hear about it. You don't actually see her.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's a part where they cross paths in the hallway, and Johnny's mom's like, you know, he'd rather see these two punks than his own mother. And 2-Bit like starts like cursing her. Doesn't curse her out, but he's like, you never cared about him. You're nothing but a drunk. Like he fucking starts cursing her out and shit, and starts like he breaks down. He starts like crying to her, you know.
Yeah.
Well, kind of shifting gears here a little bit. It's interesting. We kind of mentioned this before. There's like almost no adults in this movie. You know, like the kids are just on their own. Like the only adults you see really are the teachers when there's the fire later on, and then like I don't know, maybe a couple. Like there's the guy in the convenience store that Dally pulls the gun out. Like I don't know. There's no major characters that are adults.
No, the closest thing you get to an adult is Derry. Like is Swayze. And as a kid, it was always like, you know, he was corny. He was like look at it. Like why is he telling them what to do? You know, like fuck him. You know, until at the Rumble when, you know, he says what's up to the Soch, and the two of them are like, hey man, how's it going? And 2-Bit turns and he's like, you know, they used to play football together and pal around. Yeah. And fucking he's like, you know, I'll take you. The guy's like, I'll take him. And it's like, no, this is your buddy. You could be trying to diffuse the situation because you know each other, but it's like, nah, this is my team, that's your team. We're gonna have to fucking thump it out. Yeah. You know, even there's a part
too.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say also like the movie like drops his whole like infatuation with Cherry through the middle of the movie, like where it was like consistent throughout the book. You know what I mean? It kind of like that was like his whole motive for everything. You know,
it's
that's kind of like.
I was gonna say, it's interesting you say that because my first time watching it, like after you know they have that whole scene at the movies and everything, I was like, I thought it was gonna be more of like a Romeo and Juliet kind of story, where it's like she's with the Soches, he's with the Greasers, and it's like a forbidden kind of thing. But like you see her like what, maybe once or twice the rest of the movie. Like it just seemed like, I don't know. I thought there was gonna be more there to it, but now that you're saying the book, it was like a constant thing, like him thinking about her.
Yeah, and I think in the extended version, whatever you want to call it, part of that thing, you know, he's saying like, we were just with those walking the girls home last night, like, you know, like it's on his mind, like that shit just got ruined, you know. Yeah. And in the extended version, there's a part when they get back, there's like a whole courtroom scene. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No.
So there's parts they showing clips of the courtroom where it's Cherry. What's his name? The other Soch, not the obviously
Bill.
Bill, yeah. They're like showing clips of them testifying, and Cherry's like, you know, I guess I could have made it easier for, you know, I could have made it where they wouldn't have fought. Like I could have tried to stop them from fighting. Right. Like, and he shows the kid was like, you know, yeah, he was fucking trying to drown fucking Ponyboy, basically. Right.
So, like, even in the book, it's like he starts questioning, like, you know, Cherry, and, like, he questions why Cherry would be with Bob and why, you know, she must have really seen something to Bob. Maybe Bob really was a nice guy. And, like, you don't get that at all, you know? Like, the way that they describe in the beginning the guy with the rings in the book, like, he's this really badass dude. And then when you see it in the movie, it's like just a quick reference, guy with the rings. But it's like 2 pages of him talking about this guy with the rings in the book, you know? So the book makes the murder of this character a lot more significant, too. This was like one of the main Soches that he killed. It wasn't just a rando, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like in the book, it talks about how Bob was a leader. He had something that people would follow him, and must have, you know, he had something inside of him. Like, he really starts talking about this, and you don't get that at all in the film. Sorry, JMac.
Yeah, well, in the extended version, there's a scene when they first come back. Johnny's in the hospital. Pony's finally back home. Pony wakes up, and Tim is sleeping on his couch. Tim was the greaser that was looking for Dally. He said he slashed his tires.
Mm-hmm.
like in that scene, you get the sense like Tim was there to make sure nothing happened to Pony Boy while Soda and Derry are at work. So like he wakes up and just finds this guy on his couch, and once he's there, he's like, all right, like, you know, I just wanted to see him for myself. It was, you know, watching the other thing I think would do a lot more for you guys.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
No, I was going to say I was looking. I didn't on Amazon. I didn't see the full novel one. At least maybe I didn't look hard enough.
Yeah, when it was streaming on HBO Max, a little while back, a couple months back. They had the full novel version streaming. The only thing I've ever heard people complain about the full novel version is that they changed the soundtrack. That in the original one, it was actually Francis Ford Coppola's father is the one who scored it. And for some reason, when he put out the new one, he changed a bunch of the music in it, and people were pissed off that the music changed.
Gloria G-L-O-R-I.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I feel like I'm a little bit younger than you guys, but like whenever I watch movies from the 80s and the 90s, I feel like there's just an unnecessary amount of music. Like, because I don't know, I feel like movies today have kind of got away from. Like, there's still music, but like, I feel like the movies in the past would kind of use it for effect. I don't know. Maybe I'm just something I'm kind of hyper fixated on. I do that a lot.
I mean, I don't know. It never bothered me, but like I know now, if I'm trying to like think of something, like, you know, I fuck around writing shit here and there. Like I literally have like whole fucking scenes in my head that only exist because of the song I imagine playing over it.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like an example I always use is like True Romance. Like the music in that to me is just so fucking obnoxious. It ruins the movie for me. Like there's Little Mermaid fucking like Caribbean drum music or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't fit the movie at all. Like stuff like that kind of.
Well, that to me, that's like the score. That's not so much the music.
That's
like,
what
I was
I'm
watching
saying. Yeah,
Breakfast Club yesterday.
I meant the score, but yeah.
Breakfast Club is. Fucking,
you know
do
what else they used to do?
Shit?
I've seen Breakfast Club. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what else they used to do too? They like the opening of this film, the song by Stevie Wonder, right? Like they used to have songs for the movie, like how, like, you know, Disney Encanto has the song.
Yeah.
But like movies don't have songs anymore like that. You know what I mean?
Nothing is written specifically for the movie anymore. You
right.
know?
Like back in the day, like, you know, like 9 to 5, right? What can I do? You know, like all fucking watching Holiday Road. What's that movie? Fucking
National Lampoon.
National Lampoon. Yeah.
What about that Whitney Houston song? Was it
The Bodyguard?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Fucking they don't do that shit no more, you know. They don't write songs for the original motion picture soundtrack. Right? Cocktail, right? Was Kokomo? I wonder if that was written for Cocktail. Kokomo.
Yeah, I don't know. That definitely was like the main fucking song. Well, I don't know, because the Beach Boys. I think that was like a Beach Boys comeback thing almost, because they were fucking older by then.
Yeah, they were older by then.
But like Berlin from Top Gun, Highway to the Danger Zone from Top Gun. I mean, all that shit was. But that was a way people got discovered back then. Like, oh, we'll get our movie on a song on a soundtrack, and then people know who we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As now, everything's about the internet. Just, you know, get a SoundCloud and hope somebody makes your shit go viral on a TikTok.
That sentence you just said right there would have made no sense like 10 years ago.
Yeah. You know, like it's weird. I'm fucking watching reels and shit on Instagram, and they're fucking all of a sudden, the Beatnuts is Chaka Boom featuring Method Man is making its rap. That song's from like fucking 2000.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's showing up in fucking reels and TikToks and shit. It's like, how did this happen?
It just takes one person to start the trend, and everyone just got to jump on. You know? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I don't. The movie is just. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
I probably won't watch it for a while because I watched it twice. I watched it like a month or so ago, and then obviously we haven't gotten on until now, so I rewatched it today. If I did rewatch, I would make sure it was the full novel version for sure.
Yeah, like honestly, if I realized as much shit was left out of it, I probably would have told you guys like wait till you could get your hands on that version of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like I just today when Joey mentioned that he didn't see the full novel version or whatever, is when I was like, oh yeah, I'll check it out. And then just a little while before we started, I pulled it up to see what the difference was. And I mean, it's not even close to the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, there's a scene where fucking Cherry and Ponyboy run into each other in school after everything happens. And they kind of get face to face, and then she just walks away from him like we're still on the opposite sides of the tracks, you know?
All those things happen in the book.
Yeah, fucking his English teacher's like, hey, man, you're failing. And he's like, what the fuck I do? And the guy's like, how about you write a paper, whatever. And he's like, personal experience will do. And that's when he starts writing. And then it kind of comes full circle because then when he's writing The Outsiders, basically. And it starts with, when I left the movie theater, fucking Paul Newman and all that shit.
That makes me so mad because, like, they put those scenes in there of him writing it. It's just no context. You don't know what. Like, it's never explained. Context. You think with 20 minutes.
It's like they said, they'll know. They read the book.
Right.
They'll know what you mean.
And then there's even a dinner scene with Soda Pop. It's at the house. It's Dairy, Soda Pop, and Ponyboy. This is fucking after Johnny died, and I think it's even after Dallas died. It's like really towards the end. And Ponyboy and Dairy start arguing, and Soda flips out and runs out the house. And they chase him down, and they finally stop him. And he's like, I can't do this no more. I can't fucking live with the two of you always bitching at each other and all this shit. And it was like, this little moment where like a family had to come together and kind of get to like a let's cut the bullshit out, we love each other kind of deal.
Yeah.
And even like a dude like Johnny, man, like he reminds Johnny's character. We had a kid in the neighborhood who, his parents weren't fucking alcoholics and abusive, but he was a kid that was a bit younger than us. He was kind of like everybody's little brother. And he was always like the last, like when Johnny's like, yeah, I ain't going home. Like this kid was always the last one fucking outside with us. Like you see like parts of it like that just kind of, I was able to relate to and shit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they growing up, right? Like obviously we weren't greasers, but like we knew guys who fucking their parents didn't give a shit if they were out till all night long and never came home. And, we knew fucking guys that wanted to fight all the time. You know what I mean? We knew guys who were similar to these. And again, I think that's part of the universal concept that it doesn't matter if you're a social or a greaser. I mean, it's part of the human experience, all these trials and tribulations. So, I mean, the book, really encompasses, like you mentioned, in these family dynamics, especially you have the Soch, they come from money. You have Johnny Cade, whose parents don't give a shit about him. And then you have the Curtis family, whose parents died, you know what I mean? And like a wide range of dynamics, So all this stuff is explored deeper through the eyes of Ponyboy via the text. But in the film, you don't get that. You know what I mean? You get like in those scenes when they're like huddling together at the on the car seats, after his parents are fighting. But like that's it. Just small little things, or like a scene of just Johnny Cage just quickly being like, my parents don't care about me, so it don't matter. Okay, they do care about you though. It's all right. Done. Where again, this stuff is like a constant. It's almost like when you're reading it, it's like these reminders almost, through the things that they say, through the things that they do, versus the quick rush film version.
The Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they take dialogue word for word right from the book, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, even in that courtroom scene where they're going through everything that happened, and you see the little clips of different testimony and shit. The end of it, basically, the judge gives Derry custody of Ponyboy. Like he allows him to keep Ponyboy. So like you don't get that in the other version, but that's that was something they're worried about. Like this is a young dude who and even 2-Bit says the reason that Derry's not a Soch is because of us. Like this guy has the ability to get out of there. He can pick up and leave, but he's not going to leave his people behind. And not just his brother, but his friends and shit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we're it's almost like this kind of like brotherhood of the Greasers, because like we were saying before, like there's no parents around, so like they're the only family they have, really, Like Johnny, his parents don't give a shit. Dallas says the same shit about his parents. Like obviously Ponyboy's his parents is dead, which by the way, the name Ponyboy, I mean, come on. I thought when I heard that, I thought it was like a nickname, but that was his actual name.
Yeah. And his brother, I even got a brother named Soda Pop.
Yeah.
My dad was a real unique person.
I don't know. Then what happened with Derry? I guess that is kind of a weird name too, but it's not like he named him fucking Muffler or something. I also
didn't realize Stay Gold Ponyboy was like a death scene quote.
Yeah. Stay Gold.
I always thought it was like a happy thing. Like,
see, I thought you would have cream jeans over all the fucking Robert Frost shit.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
I mean, I only saw unless there was more in the novel. In the novel version, I only heard the mention Frost once. Unless I wasn't paying attention.
He reads when they're watching the sun rise. He recites the fucking
the actual poems in the book.
Yeah, he does the whole shit, and then fucking Johnny goes back to it in the letter.
Yeah. So I actually had a couple things that I jotted down that just didn't make sense to me. And now that you mentioned that they cut all this stuff, like some of this is kind of explained, I just wanted to kind of go over this real quick. So that first night where everything happens, the longest night I've ever seen. So I just kind of built a timeline in my head. It doesn't make sense to me. So they leave the movies, right? They go to Johnny's house. Parents are fighting. They go to the lot. They fall asleep, wakes up. Ponyboy gets home at 2 a.m., right? That's what Derry says. That it's 2 a.m. Where were you? I was worried, sick, or whatever. He gets pushed, runs back to the lot. From there, him and Johnny walk to the park. Then the Greasers come. They almost get killed, right? And then they run to Derry for help. And he goes, all right, there's a 3:15 train going here. So all that shit that happened between when he went home and then went back and then went through the park and then got almost murdered is less than an hour and 15 minutes. Unless they're in a really small town, I don't see how that's...
Tulsa, Oklahoma is not exactly fucking Manhattan.
I get that, but that would probably mean it's more spread out, no? I mean, because it's just like this kind of... I don't know.
I know it's pretty fucking small from what I understand.
Okay.
That it basically was... it went from the Native Americans running it to being like an oil town that blew up, but basically... when the movie was filmed in the 80s, it still looked like it did in the fucking 60s when she wrote the book while living there. And which I was going to get into later, but we could bring up fucking Danny Boy O'Connor from House of Pain. He bought the Greasers' house. He's a fan of the movie. He bought the house and turned it into a museum for the book and the movie. And I'll talk a little bit in a second, but one of my favorite scenes is when they go to Dallas, and they tell him, Johnny killed the Soch, and he goes, all right, good for you, man, get inside. And then all right, they wake this dude up in the middle of nowhere. This movie, it's supposed to take place in the 1960s, and he gives them $50 and a pistol. $50 was a lot of fucking money back then.
Yeah.
Especially for a fucking kid who doesn't got nothing. That was a hookup.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing that kind of bothered me about that scene is that he knows the schedule of freight trains, Right, because that wasn't like a passenger train where every hour it comes through. It's like, no. He goes, there's a 3:15 train leaving for here. How do you know that?
Well, actually, I only know this because I had listened to a podcast that Danny Boy was on. Apparently, where you are in Tulsa, you could hear that train.
Oh, okay.
The train that blows the whistle, like you hear it all day long as the trains go through. You hear that.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
So, like, if you're living in that, it makes no sense to us who grew up, more in an urban fucking setting or whatever. But yeah, that, and when he says I always thought was what is exactly the line? It's like I thought I'd be in New York before I was in a murder rap.
Yeah.
To catch a murder rap.
So when I read it, right? I read it, like a serious line, but then in the film, the way he delivers it, it's like with like a comedic spin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one more because you've actually made sense of the other two, but I don't think you'll get this one. So when they come back to the church and it's on fire and there's the school kids are there, why was there a field trip to like a dilapidated, like abandoned, boarded up church? Like what was that class doing there, and how did it catch fire? And how did the kids get inside without a clear way to get out?
All right.
Good question.
All right. As far as it catching fire, I don't know. Maybe it was cut out of the version you guys watched, but one of the times when they're falling asleep, Johnny tells Ponyboy or vice versa, like watch your smoke or whatever, because they were smoking cigarettes and he was going to fall asleep with the cigarette.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
so
Ponyboy
I always assumed that that's how the fire started. They fucking left a lit cigarette laying around.
That's fair.
I don't know why the fuck. Maybe there's nothing else to do in fucking Tulsa, Oklahoma, than fucking go to a band.
That doesn't make sense now that we're talking about it, because the lady said the kids were in there for half an hour. They were missing for a half an hour. So that means, but they left a while before that.
Yeah, they went to town, they got food.
How to light that thing on fire?
Well, unless the kids found their shit and started playing with matches, I don't know. Maybe. I was gonna ask if I forget what the other thing Tony said. Maybe I was gonna ask if in the book they explain why the fucking school kids were there or anything, because I don't remember.
I can't remember.
It just, and I love the I guess he was the principal or whatever, like the male teacher or whatever. He was like, the other teacher's like, there's kids inside. He's like, no, there's not. Forget it. There's no kids in there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they're fine.
There was like 8 kids in there. He was just going to leave them?
Yeah.
Some teacher.
Fucking, Johnny's a hero.
This going fire.
I mean, the fire is more like, shit can happen.
Go to
like
the Dairy Queen.
But why were the kids there? It makes no sense. And why, how did they just lose like half the class that wandered off into this abandoned, like the roof was falling in? You're just gonna let these kids wander into an abandoned church? Who's watching these children? It sticks with the motif of no fucking parents anywhere, no parental supervision.
Fucking when they go to the Dairy Queen, you remember the little girl comes up to the car and asks for a dime?
Yeah,
that's Sofia Coppola.
Oh, okay. Little fun fact.
Yeah. And actually, Essie Hinton has a cameo in this, too. She's the nurse in Dallas's room that he argues with.
Okay.
He's like, get out of my face. I don't want to see your face. And fucking, she's like, I can't wait for you to get out of here. That's Essie Hinton. That's the chick that wrote the book.
Nice.
What's it called? The kids and the teacher were out on a picnic.
The J Mountain.
They're okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's all right. I mean, still, how do you let half the class just wander into an abandoned? I don't know.
Bro, it was the fucking 60s. They didn't give a shit. They just fucking, they sent you out and just hope the wolf didn't fucking get you.
Once the, they saved the kids, they probably whooped them, beat them up a little bit just for running away. This is your fault. Give me your knuckles. Hit him with the ruler or something,
Yeah, just slapping them on their
Yeah.
fucking third-degree burns. Shh.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And the last little thing I noticed, and then this might have been just because like they might have cut some stuff from the Rumble scene, but like as soon as the Rumble starts, it's like normal, and then it cuts to like another shot, and it's just pouring rain, like a monsoon out of nowhere. So I don't know, maybe like there's a couple scenes they cut where it gradually starts raining, but like that.
I think in the scene I remember when Dallas shows up and he kind of jumps off and that dude punches Pony first.
Mm-hmm.
Like by the time Dallas gets to the fucking fight, the rain starts coming down.
Yeah, but like when they're all standing there like facing off, it's completely clear sky, like no rain or nothing, and like the punches start being thrown, and then it cuts like another, like the camera angle changes, and it's just like whoosh, like pouring rain. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we need some more good old fashioned rumbles, you know. Kind of just let people kind of settle the differences, like no weapons, nothing crazy, just like get together, throw some fisticuffs. I think it could help. Relieve some
I think
tension in this
I'm
country.
all for fucking, duels and shit like that.
Duels we should bring back as well.
Yeah.
I would love to see like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell get into a duel or something.
Oh shit.
Over whatever the fuck they're doing these days. But yeah, no, duels because it keeps people honest.
I bring back putting grease in the hair.
Now let me, if you guys grew up in this in this era in this area, do you think you would be greasers or would you be socias?
I would absolutely be a greaser. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think it would be greasers.
I've always wanted to be a greaser. I've never had the hair for it. I don't think
I
anyone on this
fucking
podcast
basically
has
was
hair.
a greaser when I was a teenager, except it was gel and mousse instead of grease.
But there's just something about the leather jacket with the white T-shirt, jeans, greased hair.
Can't
like,
be. It's a classic look, bro.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool. Maybe a little toothpick in the mouth or something.
Yeah.
Cigarette pack up here in your sleeve.
Yeah, you have it rolled up. Yep, exactly.
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. It was fun to do it. It wasn't like, oh my god, what the fuck? Why would they do? By any means. But I thought it was gonna be
better.
I guess more like more along the lines of what's the movie that we watched? It was like Stand By Me in this, but what the hell was it? The River's Edge.
Oh, The River's Edge?
I thought it was going to be a little more grittier, the movie,
Yeah.
It was pretty. The movie was, a pretty film.
Yeah, Coppola did another movie off of one of her novels called Rumblefish. I never saw it, but I heard there's like an orgy scene in that. Like there's some other wild shit in there.
Nice.
Diane Lane and Matt Dillon are in that too.
Are they in the orgy?
Apparently she was like fucking 15 and topless in it or some shit like that.
That's not legal, right? You can't do that.
Yeah.
I guess,
You can't do that.
The good old
in the
days,
80s
I
you
don't
could.
know.
God, you ever see Blue Lagoon? Brooke
No.
Shields was like 12 in that movie. She was naked for like the whole fucking thing.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
Bro, listen to this cast of Rumblefish. Matt Dillon, Mickey Rourke, Diane Lane, Nick Cage, Dennis Hopper. Wow. Music by Stuart Copeland. Wow, bro. I think we gotta cover this movie one day.
I think you
I'm
just
down.
want to see 15-year-old Diane Lane's tits.
Oh, stop
No, I'm
it.
kidding. We do not condone that on this podcast, okay? So to get out ahead of that.
Hey, she wrote
Yeah,
this.
that fixed it.
Right?
No, it was. I mean, you mentioned the cast of the other movie. Obviously, there's the gripes we've had with the movie, but it is cool seeing a lot of these guys before they really got their kind of start, or at least early on. I mean, C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Diane Lane. Like it's crazy stat cast.
Yeah, it's funny because like the the most famous person in the movie, like at the time when it came out, was Leif Gerritsen, and he gets fucking clapped in it, you know?
Yeah. Is he's the guy he's the soch that gets...
Yeah, he's Bob.
Okay.
He's Bob.
Bro.
Yeah, he's got like 2 scenes.
Well, the cover of like...
Yo, I looked up the Rumblefish cast. Yo. Right? Among those others, Lawrence Fishburne. Right? Larry. And get this. Heather Langenkamp.
Who's that?
Ah, come on.
Is this another age issue here? Heather Langenkamp.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay. Haven't seen that movie forever.
Come on. Yes, bro.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on. Forgot this is a horror movie podcast.
I haven't seen those movies in a long time.
But yeah, that's something I would definitely want to watch. Rumblefish. Black and white, avant-garde. Watch it.
Fancy.
You mentioned Lawrence Fishburne. You see what his daughter was up to a couple years ago?
Oh, shit.
Montana Fishburne was her name, right? Something like that. Yeah, he was
uh,
very upset when she decided to become an actress in adult films.
Yeah, I would be too. Fuck.
He said, nobody uses their real name in porn.
Did he really say that?
Yeah, he was pissed. He said, nobody uses their real name in porno.
And I'm pretty sure she said like she did it to piss him off. I think I heard that somewhere.
Apparently she had a boyfriend who was like almost like trying to be like a pimp, you know? And it convinced her to make some money by doing some adult films.
Yeah.
Hey, S.E. Andy, could you write that book too?
Fucking the poster for the movie where they're all, Ralph Macchio kind of looks serious and Emilio Estevez and the rest of them are laughing. That picture, they were all supposed to be making like where the tough greaser faces. And off camera, there was a catering table, and somebody walked up to it, and one of the production assistants, whatever, was like, "Oh no, that's for the talent." So while they're doing this photo shoot, Leif Gerritsen goes to walk up to the table, and Ralph Macchio said, "Leif, that's for the talent," and all of them laughed, and that's how they got that picture of fucking, and they ended up using it as the poster.
That's funny.
Oh shit. And then he went on to do the Karate Kid a year later, huh?
Yeah.
Now, 50 years later, he's doing Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Did he ever really do anything? Like, obviously, he's doing kind of stuff now, but did he ever really do anything after Karate Kid? Or was that kind of his, like, peak?
He was in My Cousin Vinny.
That's right.
Yeah, My Cousin Vinny. He had like some cameos on sitcoms and shit like that, but usually like the Karate Kid,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think.
He was in something in the 90s. Can't remember.
Yeah, I'm just looking through his page now. Yeah, a lot of just like random TV shows. He was in Entourage as Ralph Macchio.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in the My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, I don't know what any of these other ones are. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure he didn't need to work. Or maybe he did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on what their deal was back then, because Karate Kid was a massive fucking movie for him. He did 3 of them.
Yeah, but how many of these, child actors you see, like, strung out on drugs years later, like no money? Like, what's his name? Fucking Corey Feldman. He's a mess. He was in some shit when he was younger, but I don't know.
You know what's crazy about that? He went on like The View or something a few years back and talked about like a fucking child molestation ring in like the Hollywood elite, and Barbara Walters was like, "How could you say that?" Like, trying to shit on it. Then Corey Feldman.
Who? Ralph Macchio?
No, Corey Feldman.
No, Corey Feldman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he went on like The View, and then Barbara Walters kind of like tried to reprimand him that he was like making shit up, and then a couple of years later, you find out all about how fucking they were just molesting kids for fun. Like, it was fucked up, man. I mean, and it's fucked up because
she was probably involved in it, Barbara Walters.
They all knew about that shit, just like everybody knew about fucking Weinstein, man. They all just pretended it was like, an inconvenient truth. Like, oh, we'll just pretend that you're not raping chicks and forcing them to have sex with you for parts.
Yo, I remember there was this documentary came out on Netflix, Who Took Johnny? And I remember, so there was this Sword and Scale when it first came out. One of their first episodes was about it. And I remember seeing like an HBO documentary or something about this case years ago, like when I was younger. And, it's just crazy because like it was about this guy, Larry King, not the Larry King CNN guy, but some other guy that was like he was like in charge of the Omaha National Bank or some shit, and then he was like getting involved in the Republican Party, and he was basically like involved with this whole underground sex ring, and like got up through it, like it was up through the fucking higher ups, like George Bush Sr. was involved and all this shit. So they made this documentary, another one, and it was supposed to come out, and then it never got released. But I think, I think it's on YouTube. But this guy John Camp wrote a book about it, and everybody involved is dead, basically. Like this one guy and his son died in a plane crash. Other people were found with 2 bullet holes in their head, like it was a suicide. No, shit like that. Something that I would explore.
Well, we might end up like them if we cover that.
True.
No, but and that's what kind of drives me crazy about like.
But at least our show would get famous.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be that's what kind of drives me crazy about like the Pizzagate stuff. Like people take it to like this like crazy level where it's like, oh, they're like molesting kids in the basement of a pizza restaurant in Washington D.C. Like there's like this shit actually going on, and they like all this kind of craziness. Like when people hear that, like when people hear Pizzagate, they instantly think like crazy. Like it's so over the top that people just like dismiss the idea that there could actually be this stuff going on. And we know it's been going on, obviously, because like Jeffrey Epstein and like this guy that you're talking about, like there's evidence there, but it's just like there's so many like Hillary Clinton's eating babies, like raping and eating babies. Like what are we talking about here? Like that's just it's insane. I mean, look, I hate Hillary Clinton as much as the next
Disney
guy.
Disney has been hinting to us this goes on through movies like Monster Inc. Did you ever hear about that? How Disney's hinting to us about adrenochrome because Monsters Inc. is basically
hinting to us about what?
Adrenochrome, however you say it.
Adrenochrome, or it's
adrenochrome. There you go.
Adrenochrome. So basically, adrenochrome, what the theory is like it's like something that's in your blood or something. But like I don't know, if you get it from like a younger blood source, basically you take the adrenochrome and it's like a fountain of youth almost. Like I don't know.
And it's produced by like terrifying.
Yeah, the
when
adrenaline.
You get scared.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
The adrenaline from getting scared produces it more into your blood. So there's a conspiracy theory that like our elite kidnap children and torture them and shit and rape them and all that to get them to produce more adrenochrome, and then they take the adrenochrome to like keep themselves young and shit.
Yeah.
That's why like I posted something on my personal page. And it was a picture of like Tom Cruise in the new, like the original Top Gun, and then the new one that's coming out. It's like him and the girl, and then the girl now and him now, and the woman, she aged. She's in her fucking 60s, and he looks fucking probably younger than he did in 1980 fucking whatever, And it's like, yep, dude's been hitting the adrenochrome. And Monsters Inc. was like they scare the kids to power their fucking city. They're trying to say that was Disney hinting to us, like, hey, this is what they're doing. They're fucking terrifying kids to power themselves.
Yeah.
It's like Dr. Sleep, right?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit over at the Pizzagate headquarters. Maybe there's something there.
I think some of this shit might just straight up be disinformation. I think Alex Jones is a fucking operative.
I agree with that. I've been
That
thinking
dude,
that
he's
for a
been
while.
right about a lot of shit over the fucking years. But because he goes and he screams and hollers and acts like a fucking maniac, nobody pays attention to him.
Yeah.
So, maybe they're not putting stuff in the water to make the frogs gay, but then it does leak that they did release some kind of chemical that got into water and turned the frogs into hermaphrodites. There's a little taste of truth everywhere.
Right. A little
It's just when he
kernel.
screams like a fucking lunatic, nobody's going to take him serious. He was talking about Epstein shit fucking 10 years ago. They got an island, you take them to it, and they fucking rape kids, and it's how they, all this crazy shit, and they bring in underage kids, and they get videos of you having sex with them, and then they can blackmail you, and now they own you, and all this shit, and it's like, oh, that sounds a lot like the whole Epstein
Fucking sound like him, bro. Oh, take this kid's gonna take him to the island, gonna shove him right up in there hiding, and gonna make him get the adrenochrome so we can live like vampires the rest of our lives.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought that about Alex Jones for a while. I feel like he has connections in the CIA or whatever, and they feed him information, and like some of it's true, but then they also throw in some crazy shit to discredit him.
I think he might even just be a straight up actor.
Yeah, that's possible too.
Like fucking you go on your show and you spout, this is the crazy shit you need to yell about. Some of it's gonna come true in like 10 years, but it needs to sound fucking psychotic.
Yeah.
So when he goes on, he's hooting and hollering and turning different colors and doing all kinds of wild shit and pounding his fist on the desk. We will not let you eat our children and all this crazy shit. Fucking everybody's like, this guy's fucking nuts. None of that stuff's happening. And then like in the background, it's like, well, it's kind of happening.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Did you ever hear, I guess he had like a divorce trial, like it was like a custody for his kid or whatever. There was like a court case, and there was a quote he had in there. Like, he did something that like the wife was trying to use, or the ex-wife was trying to use as evidence, like not let him get custody of the kids. And his excuse, I don't remember what he did, but his excuse was like, well, I had a big bowl of chili for lunch that day, so I can't really be held accountable for my actions.
Bro.
He's like, oh, I had so much chili for lunch, I can't be held accountable for my actions. That is a wild move to just have like bowls of chili for lunch, But I mean, say what you want about him, he's entertaining as fuck. But yeah, he's he's nuts. But you're saying he's an actor. How much different is that from people you see on Fox News or CNN? Like, these people.
They're all political actors.
Like politicians, they're real good actors.
Yeah, they're the best actors.
Yeah.
Actually, no, they're not. We know what they're doing. We just can't do anything to stop them. Like, we know they're all fucking corrupt and crooked and whatever. But it's like, it's legal. You could literally take bribes.
Yeah, it's called lobbying.
Yeah, there's a whole industry for it. We don't have to go down that road, but...
Not on this episode, but...
Yeah, we've veered off from the outsiders a little bit.
We went outside, all right.
It's the best part of this podcast is our tangents.
Absolutely. No, I love the tangents. Do we have anything else in the movie?
Any final thoughts?
How come Matt Dillon always looks like a fucking derelict?
I like that they gave him like kind of like a Johnny Bravo type personality. I don't know, just the way he was like talking and acting. I know it's kind of like the greaser, but he went like super greaser in this, and I respect it.
I mean, did you ever see Drugstore Cowboy?
No.
Oh yeah, that's like the ultimate Matt Dillon crack-a-doodle-doo. It's a pretty good movie.
Matt Dillon's cool. I'm more of a Kevin Dillon fan, if I'm being honest.
Viking Quest!
There you go.
I always wish Viking Quest was a real show.
I would watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But
one of my favorite lines in
Sorry?
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna drop one of my favorite lines in this movie though is when they first kind of run into the soldiers when they're with the girls, and he goes like, "There's more of us in the back seat," and 2-Bit pulls out the knife and breaks the bottle and throws it to Ponyboy.
Yeah.
And goes, "Pity the back seat," and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, he was quick with that.
Yeah.
My favorite line is when he goes, "Let me get a weed." That was great.
I don't have a favorite.
Let me get a weed. I need to relax. Or some shit. I need to calm down. I forgot what exactly it said.
No, I'm kind of curious about this. Like this is more of a general question, not so much about the movie, but how did these like 14, 15-year-old kids just like always be able to get cigarettes like no problem? Like did they just not card people back then, or was it like you ask an adult
not
to
at
do
all.
it? You say,
Dude,
oh, I need it. I need to get it
back
for my
in the
parents, or
day,
whatever.
Yo, there was no pictures on IDs back in the day.
Ah,
You were able to
Like,
drink back then
also-
at 18, so I wouldn't be surprised if fucking
yeah, but you tell me, looking at Ralph Macchio in that movie, you think he's 18?
he was 20 in that movie. Technically,
Was he really?
in real life, he was 20 years old when
Wow.
he filmed that.
I would have never guessed that. He looks like a baby.
Cigarettes also were like not looked at in a negative way. They were like smoked everywhere.
Yeah.
Fucking pregnant women still smoked
Pregnant women
them.
were smoking and shit back then. The 60s.
They were smoking in the hospital in that one scene after they left the fire. Pony
Yeah,
Boy
like
and
smoking
the
was
teacher.
still glorified at that point.
The teacher was telling him not to smoke. It's bad for you. And he's sitting there holding a cigarette.
Yeah, I remember I went to an old boys Catholic high school, and before, like, this is in the 90s, late 90s, but years before, there was like a smoking area. It was called the Commons. You were allowed to smoke in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was normal. So yeah, smoking was, I guess, normal.
Yeah, there was doctors, there was brands that were recommended, the safest by doctors. Like, how they do like 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this toothpaste, like 9 out of 10 doctors recommend Camel, like, or whatever. It's wild.
Joe Camel.
But yeah, so that was, I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I watched the movie. Like I said, probably won't watch it again for a little while, but now I could check it off the list. I don't have to be embarrassed when people ask me if I've seen it. I don't have to get chastised by JMac anymore.
I think it'd be a good book to teach my students. It's like they gotta be taught elementary school books.
They said that I believe she sold over 14 million copies of this book.
Wow.
And they usually sell about 500,000 a year. And that's just because, all the fucking school kids read it,
Joey, how long is the book?
I read the ebook. It was like 230 little ass digital pages.
Okay.
But I always remember seeing it and it being thin in real life.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a fucking Stephen King novel or nothing.
Because, like, I actually might have some interest in reading the book rather than watching the movie again, if I'm being honest. And if it's a short book, I might check it out.
One sitting. If you have like a 3-hour window, you could crush it.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that.
Like, I would just like read it at night. Like, I'd be laying in bed and I'd just open up the app and just like read like 20 pages and doze off. Yeah.
My current reading has been I think I told you guys I started with the 12th Planet, the Zachariah Sitchin book about the ancient Sumerians, the Anunnaki, the alien gods, all that. So there's a whole series, like 7 books. So I just finished the second one. But yeah, I think
that's awesome.
I think our gods of old are just aliens, if I'm being honest.
Makes sense.
I'm buying it. I don't believe
it.
I don't believe everything that he says in the book. But it brings up a lot of interesting points. Now we could go down that road a different time. So for next episode, not sure when that'll be, because like we were saying, we're all kind of more busy these days. But did we decide, or were we going to do the Stephen Greer movie or documentary, or what else were we floating around there?
Not sure.
All right, so let's go with that because I can't remember what else we talked about. So yeah, we did the 2 Stephen Greer documentaries, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But
yeah,
Unacknowledged.
Unacknowledged, that's right. And he just came out with a new one. What's it called again, J-Mac?
I believe it's above top secret, the technology behind disclosure or something like that.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
so
boy.
that's interesting because there's actually some, UFO, UAP stuff in the news now with that whole, kind of a sham, but that whole congressional hearing, they didn't really say much. But it's being talked about more, which I guess is a good thing.
Well, the fact that they were willing to have a public hearing for the first time in 50 years on the topic,
Yeah.
shit's moving in the right direction at least.
It's kind of crazy to me because, like, they said basically in this hearing that, they had research projects back in, like, the 50s or 60s. Like, what was it, Project Blue Book, I think it was called? And they said up until they opened up this new whatever they're working on now, they said they did nothing for, like, 50 years, which I don't believe for a second.
No.
That they just stopped investigating this stuff. Like, I don't believe that for a second. But, it's crazy because, like, if that gets disclosed, like, that's the biggest news of all time, ever. To know that we're not alone in the universe, and it kind of changes
but Amber
everything.
Heard took a shit in Johnny Depp's bed.
That is crazy too. I'm not going to deny that. That's a crazy move. You know what pisses me off though about that whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp shit is, like, you can watch every single second of that trial if you wanted to, but then Ghislaine Maxwell, her trial got zero coverage. Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend or whatever. The fact that she was able to confess what she did and then give the names of the people, but then they redacted the names of the people. Like, why aren't we going after those people?
Yeah, right.
Because they run everything.
I know. It's a
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
It's a problem.
Yep.
Banging and eating babies.
Yeah.
Corporations sucking adrenochrome, sucking adrenochrome.
But yeah, so we'll be doing that next time. Do we have
All right.
anything
That shit crazy
else?
talk next time. I can't wait.
I love it. We
It's gonna be
kind of
good.
we dipped the toe in here this week a little bit, and next time, we'll
back,
jump in,
baby.
we'll cannonball into the crazy end.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So I guess. Oh, I want to give a shout out to my boy Ray, aka Elvis Escobar. In between these last 2 times we recorded, I actually went on his podcast to plug us, and then we kind of didn't record for like 3 months, but that's fine. But but he's on Enter the Lab. No, like it's cool. It's cool. It's just funny because I texted him yesterday, and I was like, in the last 2-3 months, I've been on your podcast more than I've been on my podcast. But no, he's good. Him and his boy Fort over there. They talk some sports, basketball, football, kind of pop culture, whatever's going on. They're good. They run a nice tight ship over there. Some bet, if you're into sports betting, they talk about that too. But yeah, so any closing remarks, regards, comments, concerns?
I look forward to our next episode. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Was glad to do this. I wish I would have realized and told you guys to watch the full novel version. I think you would have felt a little different. I think the fact that the book has stayed as popular as it did with the movie, a lot of times a movie comes out and people forget about the book. But, the book's been around a while, so it was dope. And glad to be back. It's good to hang with the guys. So
yeah, absolutely.
Stay weird. Check out the Instagram, Bomb Atomically podcast on there. Maybe one day I'll get bored and finally write another something for the website. I've been meaning to for, forever now. But you never know. See what happens.
Hand up, you asked us to check out some stuff you wrote the other day. I did not. I could admit when I've done wrong. I apologize for that.
Nah, it's all good, man. Everybody's busy. Motherfuckers got bills and shit.
Yeah.
So
out here Ubering and shit, doing God's work, delivering people their food.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good to be back. I'm glad we could.
You should just go full gigolo, bro.
I've thought about it.
Slinging dick all over fucking Westchester.
Oh shit!
I thought about it, but I really don't have. People wouldn't want to pay for this, if we're being honest.
Then you gotta do the weird stuff,
Yeah, exactly. It's like
just like a giant baby just running around in a diaper in the cul-de-sac.
A diaper and a bonnet.
I was thinking more like leather stuff, but me and leather don't mix. I don't know. I would chafe probably.
Assless chaps.
Yeah, maybe one day. I don't know. We'll see how tough times get. Yeah, it's good.
See how tough it is.
Yeah.
He's gonna start blowjobbing for money. Awesome.
All right.
Funny sucker.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Hopefully, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Yep. Peace, brothers.